everyone, welcome to a new video, welcome to my channel. My name is Mike and today we are going to be doing a best neutral palettes video. I did a video just like this exactly a year ago, and as 2020 progressed, I started to realize that quite a few of the palettes on my list then are no longer available, or they are just a little harder to find. So that's why I thought I could share with you an updated list. Not a whole lot has changed, I have to say, but there are definitely some newer things in here of stuff that I've tried in 2020. Can you take a guess? So yeah, this will be my 2021 best neutral eyeshadow palettes. There are some neutral eyeshadow palettes that came out in like the last couple of months of 2020 that I may have already bought, but that I haven't had a chance to try yet. So if they're not in this video, that doesn't mean that they're not good. It just means I haven't had a chance to try them yet. So maybe I should just do another updated version of this video early next year so that we can always stay on point with what's really great in terms of neutral eyeshadow palettes, at least according to my humble opinion, because this is just my personal opinion, no more than that. So let's just get to these palettes. I've got 10 plus honorable mentions for you. All right, so I'm just going to kick us off right away because the top 3 has not changed. If you've watched any of my neutral eyeshadow palette videos, if you've watched my all-time favorite eyeshadow palette video, this is the trio of loves, long-standing loves, because these are some of the oldest palettes in my collection as well. I still love these, I still wear these. In fact, today, what's on my eyes is the Urban Decay Naked 3. What else is new with me? So yeah, these are my top 3 all-time favorite eyeshadow palettes, and save for the Naked 2, you can still buy these. So let's talk about the Naked 2 first. I've got a replacement for you. Hold on. So this was discontinued, and I think it was discontinued right when I made that video. I did get myself a backup of this because that's what I said. Of these 3 palettes, I don't buy backups. Like I just don't. I have too much makeup. I don't need a backup. By the time I get through a product, something new has come out that I would like to try more. But these 3, I know I can't live without. So when I found out that this had been discontinued, I hunted one down on eBay and I got myself a brand spanking new Urban Decay Naked 2. In this lighting, yeah, you can see, look at the dent that I've got in Suspect. That's one of my favorite shades in here. Also YDK, do you see that? Those 2 shades are just go-to staples. I know a lot of people hated this because it didn't have a lot of mattes. I personally like this shimmer formula from Urban Decay to also put into the crease. Like I've done that a million times over. The only shades, I've said this before, the only shades I think I could have done without is these like yellow tone shades. So what's it called? Foxy and Half Baked. I don't really like that, and I also don't really like Blackout in here. So for me, the palette kind of starts with Booty Call, and then it goes on to Busted. Yeah, Busted. So those are the shades I kind of use. Chopper has a huge dent. And also there's quite a bit of use in Pistol and Verve, which is these 2 shades here in the middle. So yeah, and also Snakebite. I love Snakebite. And then Tease is just your great like plummy, mauvey kind of transition shade. I just love this palette. I can't help it. I still do. Let's just stick to Urban Decay for a minute because Urban Decay simply makes one of my favorite eyeshadow qualities because I like a buildable eyeshadow. And as I mentioned, the Naked 3 is on my eyes today. I did a get ready with me on Tuesday, so if you would like to see me do the look, you can see the whole thing in detail because I did film this whole thing for you. So if you want to see this, then that works. And I know that a lot of people ended up decluttering this because it gave them pink eye. At least that's what a lot of people said. I think if you have a warm undertone, this is not going to work for you because it is definitely a little bit more cool toned pinky leaning. However, for me, the shades I love the most are the shades in the second half again of the palette. For me, Urban Decay Naked palettes, like those lighter shades at the start, I'm like, what am I supposed to do with you? Like Dust is a really pretty inner corner highlight, but that's the only thing I really use it for. But for me, it really starts with like Trick, and then Nooner, and then Liar, Factory, Mugshot, which is one of my favorite one and done eyeshadows. And then Dark Side, I haven't really used much. That looks like a shade I've mainly swatched, but I don't go for it a lot because it's very gray toned. And then Black Heart is really pretty as a liner. But yeah, Mugshot, I mean, that thing has a dent and it looks so horrible. I think it may have fallen out too because the pan isn't in there straight anymore. I don't think it was glued in all that correctly. But yeah, the Naked 3 is just rosy taupe heaven. What else is new? Yeah, I just love these shades. I can't help it. And then I think my favorite neutral palette, because with like the Naked 2 and the Naked 3, there are definitely a few shades that I don't reach for. A neutral palette that I, as a fair-skinned, cool to neutral undertone person, could use every single shade of, and still can, of course, is the Lorac Pro 3. So a lot of people didn't like this, and I know why people don't like this, because this is just incredibly fair. If you have anything deeper than my complexion, I don't think these shades will look really good on you. It's just going to look very ashy. Again, I've got a huge dent in this rose bronze shade. This palette as well, if I hit pan or if I find out they discontinue this, I am going to buy myself a backup of it. The same goes for the Naked 3. If I found out, like if I hit pan on one of those shades, or if they discontinue it, I am going to get one for sure. This has all the mattes that I could possibly want. I get something neutral, something cool, warm toned, something more cool toned, something that's lighter and a bit more cool toned. I get a couple of shades to blend things out with. I've got all the shimmers that I could possibly need, a bit of a pop of something colorful but not too colorful, and then enough deep shades to deepen up a look. This black isn't super intense black. I personally am not a huge fan of black eyeshadow in eyeshadow palettes. I think that it's just a bit overrated. If I use too much, like this is just with the Naked 3. Nooner, Mugshot, a bit of Liar, and Dust. That's all I used, and it looks already very dark and defined on me because I'm just so fair. So a black like this is just going to be so stark. So I like that this is a bit softer, almost more like a charcoaly black. So it's not too it's just got a bit of gray to it, which makes it more wearable for me. And then Truffle I do really like, either as a fun bit of a sparkly liner, even though it's not super sparkly. But that's how I use it the most, I think, as a liner, because that's really the only thing I use blacks for, is as liner. But yeah, this is just a stunning palette. I think this is one of the very few eyeshadow palettes, period, that I feel I can use every single shade. There aren't that many. So let's just talk about the replacement that I have found for the Urban Decay Naked 2. I've mentioned this in a few videos already, but I think that the much more newly released Natasha Denona Glam palette can give you something very similarly. So let me hold them up side by side. First show you the Natasha Denona. So this is what it looks like. And this also has cool tones, but it also has a bit of warmth. So you get a rose gold, you get quite a yellow toned gold bronzy kind of shade, and then you get some like warmer toned neutrals with it. And I think that the Naked 2 does that too. So I think like this. So I think, I'm not sure if you can tell from the glare, but I think you can see what I'm going with here. Like, I think that, yeah, this was discontinued, so you can no longer buy it. But if you want that kind of color story, now that I'm talking about it again, look into the Glam, because I think it does something really, really stunning. Again, this is quite light, quite fair. The deepest shade you get in here is like a cool tone brown, so it doesn't even go into a black. And I think that because this only has 5 mattes and 10 shimmers, again, it's not for everyone. It definitely isn't, but I love that, and I was able to pull some stunning looks out of it. I love the shimmer formula that's in here, and I don't want to go that far yet, because this I've just had in my life for such a long time. But this may have very well dethroned this as part of my top 3 eyeshadow palettes, simply because you can no longer buy this. That's definitely part of that, because I can't really recommend something you can no longer buy. So this is something that I would recommend if you're looking into that, but also quality-wise, I think I love this a lot. For those of you saying, yeah, but Natasha Denona is super expensive, this Glam palette is one of her meaty-sized palettes. So these are the ones that retail for around 60 to 65 euros. and an Urban Decay Naked palette retails for $55. So even if you were still able to get this, this is almost as expensive. It's a little bit more, but I feel that this quality is even better than the Urban Decay Naked, so I don't mind paying a little bit more for it, you could say. I know, of course, Natasha Denona, if you wait for like a Black Friday sale, they do like 20-25% sale discounts regularly as well. And if you do live in the US and you have access to Sephora and you can get into like the VIB sale stuff that's going on there, you can very often get these palettes with a discount too. So I would definitely then wait around for a sale. Because I just want to break up the bouginess, I did want to also recommend some affordable stuff. Catrice. Catrice came out with these Pro Slim eyeshadow palettes in 2020, and I'm holding up two because I can't pick between these two. I really like rosy tones, as you could have seen from the Urban Decay Naked 3 that I love, and the next gen nudes that they're doing is sort of that, but then more alongside the vibes of a Huda Beauty new nude kind of vibe. So it also has those like flaky kind of shades that aren't really flaky, they're just shimmers really. But this has some really lovely rosy tones, and I thought this was a great neutral palette. It does a lot, and these mattes are so buttery smooth. Like this cream colored shade here, I had to use it 3 times before I figured out it wasn't a cream, it was actually a powder. It's that creamy, buttery smooth. These have good blendability, they have great pigmentation, and they are a little bit more expensive for Catrice. Over here they retail for 10 euros a pop, but they are definitely a really lovely eyeshadow quality, and I believe these have now made it to the US, so if you go onto Ulta's website, you should be able to find these in store if you're in the US. And also the Vintage Soul, this came out 6 months later. This was part of their fall launch, and this color story, I've never seen Catrice do anything so unique. Very often they sort of go with the vibes of other brands, but this, with those like maroons, it's almost as if the Soft Glam by Anastasia and the Sultry made love and had a baby, and then threw in some like Huda Beauty Naughty Nude. But this came out before the Naughty Nude was launched, so like Catrice was definitely very on trend with this. You do get some like grayish tones in here, so it's almost more cool tone than this, but then these like reddish, brownish, maroony shades, it's such a yummy color story, and that's why I can't pick between these two, because truth be told, if I go for something super neutral, I would go over the rosy toned one than this one. But if you're looking for something more unique, then even at a more affordable price point, you can find it in just a stunning quality from Catrice. I can't rave about these enough. I also really like their 5-in-a-box eyeshadow palettes, but I haven't tried all of those yet. So I didn't want to recommend it basing it off of just one palette I've tried. So these two, I did already try both of them, and they're consistent in quality. This also comes in a warm toned one. So if you're someone who prefers warm tones, but you don't have that much to spend on makeup, they also do one that's called like earthy neon or something like that. It's got a very strange name, but it comes in like brownish orange kind of packaging in the same style as this. It's the one I don't own because I'm not someone who tends to love warm tones. I can wear warm tones, I can get away with it, I know, but I don't love warm tones. Now I was going over my list, and as far as I know, you can still get this, the Tartelette in Bloom. I always like including this palette whenever I do these videos, or if I do like beginner friendly makeup videos, because this eyeshadow palette is just, if you don't know anything about makeup, if you want to learn how to do makeup, this palette just does it for you. Because you get a warm toned look, a neutral look, and you get a more cool toned look, you could say. So each row is a look on its own. And I think that this palette is really well done. You only get 3 shimmers, and I do feel that these 3 deeper tones are perhaps a bit superfluous, but it doesn't have a dark, black. It just doesn't have that. It does have all the crease shades that I would want, so that's a plus too. And I do really like Firecracker as like a shimmer. I just do. I do have to say I haven't used this in a bit, so again, I need to go back to this at some point. Maybe I'll put this in my Shop My Stash in February so I can do some looks with it again, because this is just such a sweet little palette. It's so easy to work with, easy to blend. And if you're someone who prefers mattes over shimmers, then this is perhaps better than one of the Naked palettes or the Natasha Denona Glam, because those all have more shimmers than mattes, which is my personal preference. But since I'm making this video for you guys to hopefully be inspired and know a little bit to find your way around all of these neutral palettes, try the Tartelette in Bloom if you really have no clue what to do with a neutral palette. This one spells it out for you. Next on the list, Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde. This has not replaced, because I still really like my Too Faced White Chocolate Bar, but I think I'm driving people crazy showing that palette, because it was a limited edition for like Christmas 2018. So by now it was like 2.5 years ago that was launched. And people have been saying, oh, I would like to try that. I think this can be a good alternative. And I actually want to do a video in February where I go over alternative eyeshadow palettes, so not dupes, but where I feel like, hey, if this is a discontinued palette you were still hoping to find, but oh bummer, I can no longer buy it, this is not a dupe, but if you would like to get something similarly, try this. And I think that the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde can give you something similar to what the Too Faced White Chocolate Bar can give you too. However, they are different palettes. They are completely different. What the Too Faced has is, for instance, like a minty shade and also like a lavendery shade. So you get those pops of color in here and then some. You get some more texture in here for sure. If we just chat about this palette on its own accord, I love this. It's got really, really good textures. I thought it was a bit haphazard because your eye is sort of drawn towards these brighter colors at the top. Don't be fooled by that, because you do get six shades, 3 times 6, so you get these like they're called sextets, I now know, these 3 sextets of different shades that go together really, really nicely. However, I think you can also like look at it in quads if you go this way or this way. So it's, again, because of the layout, it's just a palette you can do a lot with, and I think it's very versatile, and it's great for fair skin too. Like this, it's really not that deep. Because these are the deepest 2 shades you get. So if you take those out of the equation, do you see how light this is? It's very light. Shall we talk warm tones? Because I don't want to leave my warm tone gang out of, like, I don't want to leave you guys hanging. This one was on the list before. You can still get this. It now comes in a mini size. The Soft Glam by Anastasia. I think this has to be my favorite Anastasia palette. I like all of my Anastasia palettes, but in terms of neutrals, I like this better than a Modern Renaissance because it is a bit more rosy leaning. Do you just see what I mean? That the Catrice palette has similar vibes to this, like that red. Trying to get organized here. Do you see that? That's that. Ah! It's so it's got some of my favorite shades from this palette are also in the Catrice. I'm just saying, like that mulberry shade is stunning. I love rose pink and sultry in here. Dusty rose. I have the liquid lipstick for this and I still love it. The only shades that I'm like, burnt orange and orange soda, like these two. I'm like, could do without. But other than that, I do really like this. It's got some really good mattes in here, really good shimmers. Anastasia Soft Glam. If you want something warm toned that's still rosy, but it's still more warm toned than anything else I've shown you so far, than this for sure. In terms of warm tones, what I have found works really well on me, mustardy yellows. And there is only really one palette on the market that does that. The Urban Decay Naked Honey, I would definitely recommend in terms of neutrals. Again, this may throw you off because you got those yellows in the middle, but if you just cover those up, do you just see that it's like various shade of mustardy brown? I'm in heaven. I remember trying this and going like, This is a warm tone I can get down with. So this was, of course, I think released towards the end of 2019. So it took me a while for it to really get into my system and go like, yeah, that's the kind of warm tone color story that I can get down with. Oranges, peaches, no, berries. That's what we get in here. Sort of like berries and mustardy browns. Those are the kind of warm tones that I personally love. So that's why this just works on me really, really well. Really good blendability. The quality of this, like, I think that Naked palettes have gone up in quality as time progressed for sure. But I still like this too. This is definitely one that I want to keep around because if I want to do a warm toned eye, I would go for this. The Pat McGrath Rose Decadence eyeshadow palette is definitely one that blew me away. I know not a lot of people like this, but I really liked mine, especially that peachy shade. I just told you I don't like peach, but this is more like a corally peach. It's got a lot of pink to it, so it worked quite well. I remember wearing this in a video and I absolutely loved it. These two shades pull a bit more plum on my complexion. The only shade in here that I don't truly love is like that bronzy peach shade and this gold perhaps. Those two I'm like, but these four, that's where it's at. And this matte in the crease, I thought it was really, it was a stunning, stunning shade. I have nothing else like it in my collection. And then paired with those plums, it was just exactly what I wanted. And, you know, in terms of Pat McGrath, this is one of her more affordable things, even though I believe this retails for about as much as this. This has 18, this is 6. There's always, yeah, try to, if this is still available, try to get it on sale for sure. I think she has an entire rose line. So I'm pretty sure that if you pick up a rosy tone palette from Pat McGrath, you can get down with it. But this is the more warm toned leaning one that I have, and I really love mine. So that's the core, but I have 2 honorable mentions. One honorable mention because I haven't really found anything that's a good alternative for it just yet, and one that I haven't reviewed yet. Because of everything I just showed you, I have reviews up on my blog. So if you want to see swatches, looks, all of that, it's all down in the description box. The one I want to give an honorable mention is a palette I tried very late in 2020, and it's the Persona Cosmetics Identity 1 palette. I did already feature this in a 10 palette review as well, so I did put swatches and looks in that video, so I could link that down below so you can have another look at this if you'd like. But this guy is so pretty. Apparently this palette is made for brown eyes, and I've got brown eyes, so that's why it probably works. It's got warmth, it's got something plummy, it's got something taupey, it's got something bronzy. So it kind of covers all grounds in terms of neutrals, which is what I like. This has really stunning shimmers. Especially this bombshell shade, and also seductive I really like the 2 taupey shades. This is a bit more silvery leaning. This is a bit more pinky leaning. I love those. I love how it doesn't have a black, but a really dark brown as its darkest shade. I really love the quality of this. These shadows blend itself. I can see this replacing this long term. Bold statement, I know, but I think that in the future, I will be sort of letting this one go and no longer featuring it in videos like this, but this is going to replace that. However, again, the Tartelette has been with me for quite some time, so this is similarly to how I feel about the Natasha Denona and the Naked 2. I think that the Natasha Denona Glam can, over time, replace the Naked 2, and this Persona Cosmetics Identity palette can definitely replace the Tartelette in Bloom for me, because it's just, wow. Wow, I was so wowed by this eyeshadow palette when I tried it. And that's why I just wanted to give it a shout out here because it's lovely. So the final palette I wanted to give a shout out is the BH Cosmetics Love in London. You know how much I love this. I didn't really get to try it a lot until 2020. It has been going on sale a lot. So I think this might be disappearing because with the BH Cosmetics, you just don't know how long they keep things in their line for. However, I haven't really tried anything that I feel is up to par to this. Maybe the Blueberry Muffin, but I haven't put it on my face yet. Maybe the Eternal Eclipse, but I haven't put it on my face yet. So I wanted to give it a shout out. I do have a full review for this as well, so I'll link that in the description box below. But this was just great. This is just great. If you want a cool tone neutral eyeshadow palette that has just a little bit of warmth, but not too much. And you get a pop of like a grayish blue, a navy, a purple, and a black. Then this is the palette for you. So that's why I wanted to just give it a shout out, but I'm not sure how long for you can still easily find it, because I saw this going on massive sales for Black Friday. So I don't think this is going to be around for a long time. And there you have it. Those were the eyeshadow palettes that I wanted to feature in today's video. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please leave a comment down below what your favorite neutral palettes are. I would be very curious to know. And for now, all I can say is thank you very much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more by me. I make 3 new videos a week, and eyeshadow palettes are part of some of my favorite content to make, so that's a topic that comes back regularly. So I hope you'd like to stay tuned for more, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye-bye!